My name is Rod Wetsel, and I am both an attorney and a law professor. I practiced here in Sweetwater for 47 years, primarily in energy, but also a general practice. I do all types of law except for admiralty law, which is 500 miles to the ocean. But nowadays, for the last 25 years, I've been primarily a wind and solar lawyer, in addition to oil and gas. I also teach 2 days a week at Texas Tech University Law School, where I teach wind and solar law, and I teach Texas mineral titles. We also have an office in Lubbock, Texas. We have the Lubbock, Texas office and the Sweetwater, Texas office. A lot of wind turbines up that way as well. We've been extensively involved in both wind and solar, particularly wind until about 5 years ago, now wind and solar. Published a book on wind law in 2011. That's the main textbook used in the United States for classes in this area. We've expanded that to include solar in the last few years. Right now, solar is predominant. We're probably doing about 3-to-1 solar to wind leases, although both are still booming. We've had a wind and solar boom that's gone on now for a number of years. So it's been very, very, very active. We've probably done, I'd say conservatively, wind and solar leases at least 10,000. I think the first objective would be to contact a lawyer that has knowledge in this field, who can always bring in an associated lawyer if they need to, but find somebody that is experienced in wind and solar law and get them to help you negotiate the best lease possible, the best compensation possible. Yeah, you need to look at starting with a wind farm, you need to look at it that it's, it is a use of the land, although it's not quite as intensive as you'd think. The wind farm typically takes up about 8% of the surface of the property, but that includes the installation of 500-foot wind turbine towers, roads that connect each of the turbines with each other, access road into the property, usually a substation building or a power station area, office and maintenance building for the employees and the workers on the turbines, underground electric lines, some overhead lines that go off to the grid. But the good news for the landowner is the landowner gets to charge a significant fee for all of these uses of his or her land. So the landowner easily could make hundreds of thousands of dollars on just the surface damage part of the compensation before they ever get the wind royalty, which is always a big plus. Also, they need building materials. Here in Texas, we have limestone that they use for roads, turbine locations, and they need, at least in the beginning, water to mix concrete. They'll need a lot of concrete because the turbines are set about 30 feet below the surface of the ground in most areas, and that requires a lot of concrete to hold up a 90-ton tower. So there are all kinds of ways that you can make money other than just getting the turbines. Well, the good news about Sweetwater was totally by accident. Sweetwater is in Nolan County, which is total population of about 15,000 people. It's an arid, desert-like area. We have farming and ranching here, some industry, not much. But the main attraction was that the landowners were willing, the local government was willing to have them come. The wind source was not perfect, but it was adequate. And they had transmission ability to get the power out of here to higher load centers like Dallas and Fort Worth. But Sweetwater didn't have any special significance. Before that, we were the world's largest rattlesnake roundup. And then now we're the world's capital of wind energy. So it really was just mainly the factor that the farmers and ranchers needed the money. I have a good friend I went to high school with, and in the very beginning, was very opposed to having wind turbines on his land. He was traditionally a cattle raiser. He had some oil production, racehorses and so on. He didn't want these ugly turbines on his property. Well, when he became surrounded by turbines, he came back in and said, "I've changed my mind. My mother said if we're going to have to look at them, we might as well take the money." So he ended up getting 78 turbines. Now he makes over $1 million a year in wind income, and he'll tell you himself it saved his family's life, and that now they're able to have a high standard of living because of the wind turbines, because the other oil and other industries have played out. Cattle industry is not the best to be in at the moment. So there's a huge supplemental income for him. And in a recent interview that he gave with a foreign correspondent from Europe, they said, "Doesn't the sound of the wind turbines bother you?" And he said, "No, it sounds like a cash register to me." Well, I'd say your opportunity should be good to attract wind developers. Right now, one of the largest wind companies in the world, I've taught long enough, 13 years, that my students are now, some of them are in high managerial positions with these companies. One of those students told me the other day, he's with a large German company, he said his orders were to build a new wind or solar facility every month. So with that kind of boom going on, they're looking not only in the United States, but they're looking in other countries for opportunities to build wind and solar, and I'd do everything I could to attract those people to come to your area. And you've got a model to use. We have a wind farm lease here that will work anywhere in the world. A lot of these documents are all very, very similar. So you've got the model to go by, you got everything you need, you really just need them to come. You build it and they'll come.